Good afternoon. Thank you everybody for joining. I'm Bart and I'm a client partner at Symphony Solutions, now working close to 2 years at Symphony. And today we are going to talk about how leveraging cloud native technologies in healthcare to respond to the urgent needs due to COVID-19. Firstly, I would like to introduce Symphony Solutions. So Symphony Solutions was founded in 2018, and we are a Dutch-based IT service provider with delivery centers in Eastern Europe. We currently have around 400 IT professionals working closely with our customers like Spoedtestcorona. Now, before I get started, I want to cover some housekeeping. So during the webinar, you will have a chance to ask your questions. There is a chat in Zoom and in YouTube that you can use for this. There is no such thing as a silly question, so feel free to ask away and we will cover them in the Q&A at the end. And to stimulate you asking questions, we made an incentive for the most active participants. I will tell a little bit more about that before we start the QA. Now we covered the housekeeping. I'll quickly run through the agenda. Can we show the presentation on screen, please? Thank you. So we have announced on this webinar to have 3 parts, but unfortunately our panel speaker from the Dutch government was not able to join today. So we will limit the webinar into 3 parts. The first part will be devoted to the business side of the project. We did in partnership with Spoedtestcorona. The second part, we will discuss the technical aspects and the main challenges we had during this project. Then thirdly, we'll switch to Q&As where we will cover your question. So today I'm in the main office of Spoedtestcorona, and next to me is sitting Jeroen de Jong. I got to know Jeroen last year, October, when he had this very ambitious plan for a platform for testing on COVID. And since then, we are in close cooperation, and I'm working as an account manager on this project. Next slide, please. Jeroen is the founder and CEO of Spoedtestcorona Netherlands. So welcome, Jeroen.
Thank you very much.
And I will be addressing the business questions to him. Next slide. Remotely, we have Oleg Chekan with us, who is the head of pre-sales and service delivery manager for Spoedtestcorona at Symphony Solutions. Oleg is the architect that has designed the platform we have built for Spoedtestcorona. Welcome, Oleg, as well.
Thank you, Bart.
To kick this off, Jeroen, I'll start off with a few questions for you. But could you please share with the audience your fascinating story of Spoedtestcorona from the beginning?
Sure. In the beginning of October, I started this project together with 3 of my partners. There were some issues in the Netherlands that rapid testing was quite expensive. The costs were around 150 till 250 euro a test. So we investigated the market and we wanted to see if it is possible to make it more affordable. We sat down with Symphony to do to check what are the possibilities in case of technology, digitalizing the whole experience of getting tested and make it more automated. In a very short period, we made an MVP together with Symphony, and that was ready in only 3 weeks. Later on, I think Oleg will tell more about it and the issues we had to make it ready in such a small time frame. We started also at this time a partnership together with one of the largest hospitality chains in the Netherlands, that was Van der Valk. They provided us our first location for testing, and later on there were some more locations, and we are now scaling up till 13 locations in the following 2-3 weeks. In the beginning of 2021, we were contacted by people from the Dutch government, especially the education department, and they asked us to do a pilot for the secondary schools, where students were tested in a targeted manner. The project is aimed to show whether testing is effective in the number of infections. So later on, they started also projects on the primary schools, where they are slightly different, because the primary schools we only do preemptive testing, and only for the teachers and not for the children. Every teacher is able to get a test twice a week, and we have several teams now. It's for now we have around 15 teams for this pilot, moving around the Netherlands and testing on site at school. And we are also participating now in a pilot in a tender for a pilot project, which is offering free testing for entrance to several spaces, like restaurants, for instance. Regarding to the project overall, one of the most important things is for us was to consider that everything and all the information should be secure. That means that we have put a lot of efforts in the development, and we also made a scanning app that was for scanning the results, because the doctors are unable to be at every place at the same time. Yeah, we were with our test app, that was a good solution. At this moment, we have around 5 production portals. They are all different because of customer needs. Separate portals for education, separate portals for corporate testing, and also our normal testing platform. Very short, we have a new customer on the corporate platform, and that is Shell. We are just getting started, in my opinion, because there's a lot to do, and there were a lot of things to develop, and we still have a lot of things to develop in the future, and that's what we have in pipeline now.
Thank you, Jeroen. In your journey, what were the business challenges you faced?
One of the biggest challenges was a very short time to market, and there was a need of a quick possibility to scale. Of course, the government's security demands, that was something to consider, because of the data leaks there were with other companies, but also with the government itself, like the GGD's. And we had to reassure the government that our solution was safe and secure to use for the schools.
Okay, thank you. What factors would you name that influenced your success?
We aim to give the best service for the most competitive price. So after we entered the market, we saw that our competitors dropped their prices also, and the cooperation with Van der Valk helped us with that. It was very important that we had a good ambassador, and gave us the opportunity to scale on their locations. So that's what we are working on now. In the state of the global pandemic, we felt it is necessary to contribute to the general situation. And that's why we offered free testing also. Free testing a long time ago already, it was in 2020s, and that was for non-profit organizations to help them for people who cannot afford a fast test, and but they needed it. Another contributing factor that was also the proactive approach. I wrote a letter to the Minister of Education and did not expect it, the reply. But sometimes you need to have some luck, and that's what we had, because it came finally at the right person, and they very quickly contacted us, and that was the start of the cooperation with the government. And lastly, in my opinion, for the start, we needed to be very flexible. In a crisis like this, you can act differently because you miss out some opportunities and so on. So we invested a lot of effort and a lot of money in our platform and in processes to make this happen. If we hadn't did this, we wouldn't be at the position where we are right now, in my opinion.
Okay, thank you. And how did Symphony help you in the growth of Spoedtestcorona?
Yeah, the cooperation with Symphony as a software supplier was one of the leading factors that led to our success, in my opinion. I'm absolutely not a technical person, and I needed a one-stop shop principle for the fulfillment of all our technical requirements. Symphony's help was able to solve this question, and with the platform, of course, the infrastructure, the hardware devices, solutions, how to manage them, it was absolutely a full package. And additionally, when we started the government projects, we were asked to kick off within a week, or actually even within a weekend. So everyone from Symphony made this possible, and we were able to do that because of Symphony. And also they did some extra security fixes to make everything probably secured. And the scalability of the platform was a very important factor, of course. But I think Oleg is much better to answer on those questions.
Perfect, thank you. So let's switch to the technical side of the platform. Oleg was on this project from the beginning and designed the technical aspect of the solution. But Oleg, what were, according to you, the technical challenges that you faced?
Well, most of the technical challenges were driven by business challenges, and one of them is obviously time to market. We had to come up with a solution very quickly, and we need to roll out system as fast as possible, because when you demo something to your potential investors, it's one story when you demo just PowerPoint slides, and another story when you demo a working solution. So we took it very seriously, and we decided that we have to deliver a working solution by the time it should be presented to the ministry. And another challenge is that when you have to build something very quickly, you need to find a way how you can actually borrow potentially some code from third-party solution or open source, or from look how you can develop it yourself. and building something in a couple of weeks, creating a team in a couple of weeks from scratch and deliver a solution, it's quite a big challenge to take on. And since we started, we very fast we faced another challenge where we had to react and adapt to the changes coming pretty much every day or several times a day, and we had to respond very quickly and to change in priority and change our focus. And another important one, as was raised already, that security and privacy of European citizens and their healthcare data is subject for strict regulation, and we need to make sure that system we are designing is secure and will satisfy privacy requirements as well from the very beginning, and no components of the system will leak data outside, and we will keep it locked.
Oh, thank you, Oleg. How did you approach this, and what processes did you use to get this application delivered?
Yeah, so the main kind of approach was to be as lean as possible and to reduce the scope of work as much as possible, but still deliver a viable product to the client. From the very beginning, we were focused on analysis of the business process and its decomposition to user stories. We have involved user experience and service designers who were talking to the users of the system to make sure the solution we are delivering will be useful, and employees of Spoedtestcorona would not be forced to look for workarounds like and expose some private data elsewhere. We have built a very quick proof of concept projects, where especially in the area of remote doctor's presence, where we have built a hardware and software prototype to see what kind of solution would allow us to automate and enable this functionality. But we very quickly start to analyzing, okay, how we will roll out it, how we will bring it to Netherlands, how we will make sure that it can be set up quickly, and how it will be, whether it will be mobile or not, and just quickly drop the hardware solution because it was too complicated in this matters, and focus on delivering good and mobile software solution with mobile application. In general, we had to do lots of quick releases. So in the last half year, since project was started, we have made more than 40 releases already, and most of, like, probably half of them have happened during first couple of months. That was the solution to enable short feedback loop.
Thank you, Oleg. I'm also interested, and could you share a little bit more on how you managed to deliver this capability when others in the industry might have struggled?
Yeah, as I mentioned before, like, part of the story is like how you can get some advantage by taking some existing components into the system, and that's where function as a service and cloud native services came to help. So like, modern cloud is offering you lots of services which can be used as building blocks for your solution, and you would avoid repeated development of things like user authentication or like distribution of emails or SMS messages, because they are, were implemented millions of times already. So why we need to invent it again? And we just can use ready-to-use services from the cloud. This allows us to not to focus on these secondary functions, but to focus on primary function of the system, on business logic, on booking, on test lifecycle process, and administration of the system. and from the very beginning, we were focused on delivery of the business logic, and all the complexity of this infrastructure provisioning and classic functionalities were put on shoulders of the cloud provider, and we just have to put them together in a proper way. Our in-house expertise allows it. Like Symphony solution is in partnership with AWS, and we have certified solution architects and developers who knows how to use the services and use them in a proper way. And it gives us a significant benefit of saving lots of time to bring something working into our first demo solution.
Thank you, Oleg. Could you tell us a little bit more about the application itself and how it was technically implemented?
Well, right. As I've told, we have used function as a service approach, and we have utilized as much of serverless technologies from AWS as possible. And we end up completely serverless, so we don't have any like servers to manage. We have used for the engine of our backend API was built using API Gateway, AWS Lambda, and DynamoDB technologies, where we have used simple storage service from Amazon to properly deal with the files in a secure and encrypted way. And we have used CloudFront for our public websites to make sure that our websites is highly available on any device in any country, and that we will sustain any hacking attempts or denial of service attacks. Also, like for user authentication, we have used Amazon Cognito service, and services like simple email service and simple notification service for secure and easy integration to deliver emails and SMS messages to our clients, of Spoedtestcorona, actually end users as well. And another important thing that from the beginning we were following infrastructure as code approach. So we were automating our infrastructure rollout from the very beginning and integrating it with CI/CD pipelines, and that gives us ability to roll out new environment, to host another tenant, or to work with a new business, quickly adding B2C capability or B2G capability into the system in matter of hours, instead of making requests and waiting for days to prepare the infrastructure. Bart, you on mute.
Maybe a question for both of you. Thank you, Oleg. What are the benefits of selecting the right technology stack? Any financial upsides of this, Jeroen?
Yeah, from my side, I think one of the biggest benefits, as I mentioned before, is that it is ready to scale on country level, and also the remote diagnose feature, what was developed, it sounds very not so fancy, but in my opinion, this is something that made it possible for us, that the results we can provide in a much lower cost to the end customer. So that's why we started this. And of course, also quite important, the costs of infrastructure. That is, in my opinion, what the points are.
Oleg, to you.
Yeah, right. So yeah, cost of infrastructure, obviously, with Amazon, especially with the free tier and on-demand pricing, was an amazing saving for the whole solution. Like the bills we were getting were under the 10 euro a month, which is at the beginning of the project, which were like non-blocking for us at all. And later on, it just scales and scales in a reasonable speed. Another benefit, which was not so easily seen, is by using these services I've mentioned before, we, as a building blocks, we got enterprise-grade security, performance, and reliability built in the infrastructure and became a proper, like, and basically we borrowed all of this to our solution, and whole solution became on a very high scale, ready to grow, ready to scale out, and still be secure as like best practices recommendations. And obviously, most of the AWS services, and actually all of them that we have used, are compliant with the standards and built according to GDPR or HIPAA or high-tech regulation, which are like very strict standards of dealing with private data.
Thank you, Oleg. Let's switch to the next slide to come to the key takeaways. Jeroen and Oleg.
Yeah, I think like most important for us, like in order to make it happening, one of the key takeaways is that you have to focus on business first, not to like how to build an infrastructure, how to scale the system if there will be a significant number of users coming, but rather think about the business first, how business would be scaling, how they will find more doctors, which are in the high demand on the market, and how to bring solutions that would allow to minimize that for them as well, because that was much more important to scale rather than having ability to serve more users simultaneously on a web server. Second takeaway, yeah, cloud native services, ready to use building blocks for most of the applications, and actually I think for any web application nowadays, and they would allow you to focus on business logic again and not to spend much time on building some middleware. And last bit, yeah, like putting infrastructure, security, maintenance on the shoulders of the cloud provider allows you to deliver a solution with a smaller team, with less resources needed, and less communication overhead, and you can just go faster.
Thank you, gentlemen, for asking my questions. So let's head off to the Q&A session. I mentioned before about an incentive, which is basically the person that asked the most or best questions related to the topic. We have this the bonus. The bonus is a free expert one-to-one consultancy from Symphony Solutions to help you your business identify digital opportunities. So now is the time to ask your questions. If you have any, please refer to the chat either in Zoom or in YouTube. There is one question already to you, Oleg. What do you consider as an innovative part in the whole solution apart from using AWS?
Well, I think like most important innovation we made is building the application for remote access to the test facility by the doctors, so they can serve multiple locations at the same time and do it in a kind of asynchronous way. That like building several proof of concepts gives us ability to find which solution was better and faster to roll out, and give us like significant benefits. Like you can always implement something simple like just putting a web camera and streams a video to the doctor in a remote location, but you want to make it in a reliable way and and make sure it's secure and that no personal data is revealed to any hacker and so on. So we've built an application that is capable to do all of that and follow the business process of test life cycle as well, and saves the data in a secure way. What else?
Okay, I think that's already a good answer, Oleg. I have another question that was raised. How do you see the future of the product? And that's to the both of you.
Yeah, I think the future of this product, in my opinion, there always will be for until end of this year some need of testing. It could be testing in for entrance, for events, and so on. So yeah, I think we will still go on with development for this.
Oleg, anything?
Yeah, from our side, what we can see is that since security is on a high demand and in general, so we want to set bar higher than the standards imposed by the government and go with best practices by further hardening the solution and going beyond current requirements and implementing better security control on like device level, which devices could access the system, and making sure that our system cannot be compromised, even if some of the employees would decide to extract the private data from the system. And as a second direction, what we can see is a moving more into software as a service mode, where we can give a possibility to run multiple tenants in our system, and anyone else would be able to instantly connect to our system and use it for their benefits without need of re-implementing everything and just make it available for general use.
Yeah, well, also, in my opinion, is still a very important thing is that we now trying to or implementing AI to do a pre-diagnose of the test results. For the future, this could be rather interesting also.
I think that was it. So I want to thank Oleg for your time and your very good answers. Also for you, Jeroen, we wish you all the luck into this journey. Thank you for the audience for participating in the webinar. I hope it was very insightful, and we hope to see you soon in the future on our next webinar.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Bart, and thank you, audience.